I'm Luke Servelt. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. Hey, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a personal project that I worked on this summer, then into the fall. It's a 50-year anniversary video for a graduate institute where my dad taught for many years. And it's based in Toronto, but they were having a 50-year anniversary either in November or October. It ended up being in November, which was great because that gave me a little bit more time to edit. But I just felt like it was a small institution. They don't have a lot of money, but I felt like taking on a project that would tell the anecdotal history of this institute. And just because, when I was growing up, I knew a lot of the folks, and then I went and got a bachelor's in philosophy. So it's kind of like it's all in my DNA, and I felt like I knew the people well enough that I could interview them and bring out some of the interesting aspects of their history. So just out of my own pocket. So that meant I needed to keep things small. So it's like, okay, let's figure out the constraints and then just embrace them and live with it, and go with it. So it was just going to be the GH5 and then AVX audio. So just a single lav, no boom, no nothing. And then I'd have 3 lights. So here's the luggage that I would take to Iowa, to Michigan, to Canada. And because I was going to Canada, I wanted the stuff to look like it wasn't professional video gear. I wasn't being paid for this project, and I didn't want to have to deal with, border agents asking for a carnet or something like that. So I just kept it to these Samsonite cases, and it worked out well. It's just a backpack with some the 2 camera bodies in it, and some audio, more extra camera stuff in here, like the Veydra lenses, that kind of thing, and then 3 light kit. And I just kept it real simple, just a 1x2 Aladdin LED and 2 Dado LED 90 watt fixtures. So then in here I had some lightweight stingers I'd made up, and some small Lowell baby stands, and then my personal stuff. So and a tripod in here as well. So but it was a small tripod, and that was kind of the weak link of this setup. As soon as you have a larger, more professional looking tripod, then all of a sudden you look more professional all around. So I wanted to keep it within these cases, small sticks with not a standard sort of fluid head. It was just kind of like a ball head. And that was, I would have liked to have had more opportunity to move the camera during the interviews, but I just set those limitations, and it worked fine. But and then going through the airport, this is how I could roll. So let me just show you how I laid out the lighting case. On this side, I have the 2 dados and the ballasts. So that was there, and then I could just roll up the Aladdin, ballast and the sort of exoskeleton where you can put the softener on it. So just real simply, that could go in here. That was the gear choice, and then I ended up going to Northwest Iowa, to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then Toronto, Canada. And then because I wasn't going to have enough time in between work and working on a vlog to you know, go into archives and find all kinds of images and ask for that. I didn't have anybody on staff to, you know, really make that all that happen. So I just figured it was just going to be interviews. And to make that somewhat visually interesting, my plan was to interview everyone either in their own home or at their office, have all the locations be different enough that cutting between them, you know, wouldn't be too dull. So those were the constraints. So all told, it was like 23 interviews. And how I lined it up was I would go to, like, say, Toronto for maybe 10 days, and then I would set up interviews to do 2 a day. Sometimes I did just 1, but it would be in sort of 4-hour chunks and then an hour in between to get from one to the other. And I wouldn't interview for all that time, but it took a little time to set up and then break down. And so sometimes it would be, you know, an hour, hour and a half. Some were as long as 2 hours. So, you know, you add that up, 20 plus interviews, that was quite a lot of footage. Put that in a Pegasus and away we go. Anyway, so in the different locations, I was always looking for depth and trying to use as much of the natural light as possible. Most of the interviews were during the day. There were a couple, like this one and this one, that I could use just the natural light from the windows the whole time. This one lived in, both of these folks lived in high-rise apartments, and with nice windows, nice views. With this one, though, there were a lot of clouds outside, and so I did have some transition where, you know, it would get a little more cloudy. Now I could have closed all the windows up and brought my own lights, but since I didn't have that many, I liked the feel of the natural light a whole lot more. So I didn't even use the dados at all for scratch or anything here. So it was just lit by the windows. And then with this one, the key was all the windows, and then I added the little dados in for like the hall, the images, the little pictures on the hall, and then a little scratch on the side as well. But usually what would happen is here are some that are similar, where you have a sort of a large window in the back. I just let those blow. That was fine with me. I would use the Aladdin for a key, and maybe, you know, bring up the bookcases a little bit with a dado, or provide a scratch. So, but for the most part, you know, the Aladdin would be a key, and the rest would just kind of fall into place. Usually daylight. So then this one, this is my dad actually, and in his study, and I wanted to have him sort of surrounded by all his paperwork, because yeah, it's just very professorial, and it's how I remember him, you know, going down to his study and him just being surrounded by his books and his papers. And so this was a much warmer feel, and so you know, brought the key around, and then the dados are coming in as little highlights in the background, and then the lamps worked well as, you know, as sort of sources. Now here are the ones that I like just because of the depth. You know, having another room that you could sort of look toward, that's kind of nice. Because I wasn't trying to go, you know, too shallow depth of field here, because I wasn't really able to manipulate the camera as much as I would like to while I'm shooting, because I'm interviewing and trying to keep my wits about me, just, you know, to keep the questions coming. Then I would say this one and this one are the ones that I'm happiest with. You know, there was interesting light around them or behind them, and also brought in my lights to bring the windows around a little bit, just a little key. And then, for instance, with this one, there was like a writing board next to him, and we just bounced something into that just to give a little more fill on that side. So sometimes you're just in a really small room, and here we had the window, so we have that blasting through, but I think it gives some interest too. There's life, and then here I was interviewing the husband and the wife. So the wife was in the kitchen. There was some more depth there. The husband here in the living room. You work with what you've got, and I think it actually kind of works. So and then here it was in a classroom, so I had to kind of create the look. There wasn't a whole lot. There was a window, and so I kind of motivated where the window was for the streak of light on the blackboard, but giving him an edge. And this was sort of created the space as opposed to being in a living room or in a kitchen and just going with what was there. So, it was a combination of a lot of different things going on. It was fun to do. It's kind of a nice challenge because you're going in, you're looking at the space, what can give you the nicest angle, but you're on your own. So you don't have a grip crew, you don't have a lighting crew to, take lighting away or add light. You're having to make it work with your constraints. And that's kind of fun. It was a good exercise. And so I wanted to share that with you, and I hope it's helpful. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.